talking. Welcome to Talk Kings, where real kings talk about real things.
Welcome to Talk Kings, where real kings talk about real things. My name is Donnell Brett. We got my man Dietrich Avents. Nice polo shirt, brother.
Hey, big horse.
Big horse.
Yeah. Oh, I see you. I see you.
Today. What's up, my man Johnny? How you doing today?
I'm shipping them.
You shipping?
Oh, you shipping?
Larry Kendall, what you got, baby? You just
He just got muscles. He just got muscles in the championship ring.
That's it, baby. But he button top.
Oh yeah. Man, I said I was.
You gotta
gonna
do
do
that.
that.
how you
gotta
get
do that.
astute?
What you gotta understand, this country club.
No, I mean,
Yeah, we trying to get
I'm
like
giving you
these days.
I'm giving you the definition.
I go top collar. He wanted to go top.
Yeah, I want to do that too, man.
Get it together.
I'm gonna get it together, man.
You gotta buy the shirts that stretch. You got a big neck.
Oh, hold on, my Adam's apple.
Oh Lord! So sitting here, at the bar hanging with y'all, I don't feel like any of y'all are a threat to me. Just sitting here, but I know you. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to know the person to understand where they come from. But over the last couple of years, it's been a sort of attack on our African American brothers. Some come from our own self. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. I mean, I see it a lot. People talk about we worrying about the police killing us or, whatever killing us, but we're killing ourselves too at the same time. I know locally where I'm from, young boys crazy. They're going crazy right now. Everybody got a chopper, extended clips, and they gonna show it to you. But in reality, man, we're not birthed a threat. But in your eyes, when do black men become a threat to society? Because it has to be to everybody, because we're under attack by everybody. Anybody got a story, anybody think about it, how you feel about it. One day I was driving from Texas. My son was driving. He was driving a U-Haul. He swerved a little bit. Police got behind us. And I don't know what made me go put my phone on live, but I went on live. And they separated me and my son. So long story short, they tried to say that, that was a big drug, corridor, right? And they thought that we were trafficking drugs, and they actually put my son in the car, searched him, found out that he played football. Like they really did all of that, and I felt like that was uncalled for. But I don't know. Like, when do we become a threat walking down the street, a threat driving in our car, a threat, in corporate America? What is it at birth? When is it that we actually become a threat to society? You know what I'm saying? Whether it's corporate, whether it's to a female, whether it's to police. But I do believe that black men are a threat, but when do we become a threat? Whether it's negative or positive, when do we become that?
Well, I think we become a threat really from that 16 to 23. I think that's where either you lose them or you gain them. And I think it all starts at the high school level. I mean, I think a lot of things happen at the elementary school level, just through the education, how it's pushed through the system, how they're being taught, and if they're being taught, and are they being taught to a test. I think a lot of things are taken out of the system that should be put back into the system. That hurts our culture more than it hurts others. And as we move up through the educational system, and the things we lack through the learning process or the learning curve affects us when we get to high school. Are we equipped and ready to take on the world that it is today? I'm not sure. A lot of times we are. And our kids are not going home to good situations where they could study, where they could read. I don't think as a culture we do enough reading. I think we spend a lot of time on entertainment or things that entertain us opposed to things that educate us. And I think we need to get more involved and more engaged with what educates us as a culture. Not just black culture, but as a culture in whole. Learning whether it's about economics, whether it's about history. Of course, our culture uses sports to get ahead in a lot of ways in this country. And once the sports world sometimes fails us, we don't have anything to fall back on. And we got to use sports and some of these other things as an avenue to get the education. But the education got to become a lot more vital and important in our culture, because our ancestors, I think about my grandmother and the things they fought for when it came to education, and how they looked back in the day. Everything was buttoned up, shirt and tie, sitting in school, everybody was straight, and they had a hard fight. Education was important to them. Now we dismiss education. We kind of use it as a secondary thing if we don't make it in a lot of, again, in our culture, entertainment. And entertainment can't be what it's all about. Somebody has to sit there and be the one that really controls the narrative. And if we don't have no representation at the top controlling the narrative, showing what laws should be in place, writing the rules, principals, chief of police, federal agents, generals, doctors. I mean, we have to become a lot more responsive and represented in these positions in the world. And I looked at something not too long ago during the election time, and I was thinking about our culture and black men, and it was talking about 75% of the folks that was involved, whether you're doctors, your lawyers, your educators, your politicians, came from HBCUs. I remember once upon a time HBCUs was looked down upon, and now there's somewhat of an uprising where now they're being looked upon as the golden egg now, something of importance, something that's needed, something that's been good for our culture that we really do need to focus on, because our kids need to find a better way of being educated. And whatever that is, we need to figure it out.
I agree. I agree with that aspect. But you asked the question of, at what age do we become a threat, right? When do we become a threat? It doesn't matter how educated you are.
Exactly.
Automatic, if your appearance is not what certain people think is the appearance they need to see, it doesn't matter how smart you are. You could be a doctor, but if you got dreadlocks, there's a problem. If you could be a lawyer and you got tattoos and you're a black man, there's a problem. You could be the CEO of multi-companies, but if you over 200 pounds and got a muscular build, you're a problem. So yes, I agree with, you want to further your education, you want to better yourself, you want to do all of these things. But truth be told, at birth, you have become a problem. I'll give you back, and just we talked about in another show, dealing with talking to your pastor and stuff, but going kind of biblical with biblical stuff. Back in the day, when it was dealing with Moses, they were taking away all of the males, the first males, out of they were killing them. They were killing the first males. That's the same thing with us. We're taking away the males, the black males in our society, because the threat that they are. So I feel that a lot of things are set up to take away the black male. I do. I'm not like, doing all of that and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, this is stuff that I see. I know you work with youth. I work with you. But I've laid to rest so many kids. And to be quite honest with you, no one really cares outside of that, because it's just another black kid.
Well, I agree with what you're saying to a certain degree, because I've seen it happen in the black community. I mean, when I think about all my friends that, when I went on to college, all the guys that went to jail for selling drugs, and the amount of years that was placed on them for selling crack cocaine, me being from South Florida, of course, and how the crack cocaine epidemic hit the black community, and you had blacks getting, triple the amount of time for crack cocaine opposed to cocaine. So when you start talking about all that stuff, and you start seeing some of these documentaries that you see, how the prison system was built on black males and incarceration with drugs and all that stuff, you start thinking about that. Yeah, it was an attack on black men, but I think, I'm not saying it's perfect now, but I think there is somewhat of progress, and you do got to have some kind of representation. Something got to happen. Somebody got to stand on the sword for the race. And you know what? It's going to be tough times. It's going to be rough. And I like we got people now that's willing to step out front. take the bull by the horns, I keep saying, and run with it and say, you know what, man, as a culture, we got to get stronger. We got to do right. We got to do better. Showing us what's happening, you know, whether it's putting it on video, whether it's putting it on the big screen. You got to put out there what's really happening to us as a race and to black men, so people can really understand that, hey man, there's an attack on us. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you want to tolerate it, well, my thing is, when Black Lives Matter came to fruition, you know, I got tired of the hashtag. I wanted to see action. Even within my own company, I wanted to see action. You know, don't talk about it. I don't want to see no more. I don't want to see no more essays. I don't want to see no more memes. I want to see action. I want to see action to call from the top.
Gotcha.
And I want to see real movement. And you know what? If they don't deserve it, if they don't earn it, don't give it to them. But the deal is, we got people that look like us, that's just like me, that deserve these opportunities. You know, so if we got the background to get this stuff, give it to them. Let me at least fight for it. Let me at least get to the table. Give me the same opportunity. Give us the same opportunity. That's all I ask.
Okay, now, piggyback on what you said, everything is right. Just being in our demographic area, as far as being a black male, was against the odds. Education is not going to free us, not one bit. But you said about film and stuff, whatever. We just had a situation in North Carolina where the sheriff sent his deputies from different areas to go serve a warrant. Black man killed. You got all the high-powered lawyers and everything out there, but these sheriffs that killed them are still working. We are behind the 8 ball, and I'ma just say it. We still have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
You know what I'm saying? The first cop that was convicted of a murder happened in the city of Portsmouth, where I'm from. Black prosecutor, black woman prosecutor, prosecuted him and got 2 years. It wasn't enough time, but she fought and got him 2 years. But in between him getting the 2 years and different situations happening, it's happening every day.
Well, you know, I'm not going to talk on law enforcement too much, but there's laws on the books that need to change to that. So, you know, I understand.
We got people fighting for us.
That's right, but it's so those are things where we got to get out and vote. I mean, all these things that you know, you got to get out and vote. You got to exercise your rights. You know, we always talk about it don't matter. It does matter.
It do.
So if you saw it in Georgia, I mean, just what you just saw in Atlanta, you see the vote matters. Getting out and being active matters. Don't never think and discount it, because things on the books do have to be changed. If you go look back at old American law, hey man, you know, it's not in our favor, because it wasn't written in our favor. It was written during an era where, I mean, whether it was slavery, you know, civil rights time, it was not written during the modern era. So things need to change on the books to represent the modern day America.
It go back to what you said, education. If we educated, we would go out and vote. But the average, I'm gonna just say the average where demographic where I'm from, the average black person look at us say, my vote don't count. Why would you say that?
So I'm gonna be honest. So this year, other than probably when I was 18, was the first year I voted in a long time. So and the reason is because I felt the same way you just said. Like, I felt like my vote didn't count.
But the average black person feel that way.
And you know, I'm not dumb. I'm educated and all that, and you know, I know it counts now. But I just think ultimately, I used to feel like it didn't matter. It didn't matter what I thought. So if I feel that way, it's a lot of people that feel that way.
A lot.
But I did vote in this last election. But I'm just saying, for the longest time, you know, I didn't vote. And, you know, I don't want people to say, oh, man, you're going to do. It didn't really matter to me. You know, I'm not a big politics
You fought for the country.
person. And to be honest, The Republicans gave us better pay raises in the military. You know,
but that's
So-
that's a psychological. That's a psychological.
yeah, I was looking for who will give me the most money.
That's a psychological thing, though. But the average black person will look and say, "Who giving it?" Like you say, "Who giving the most money?"
Right.
The Republicans deal with you psychological.
Right.
Democrats deal with you in the real.
I love all the topics. Keep everything at the forefront of your minds. You know, we really need to understand when we become that threat to society. I love the demographics that you gave. When we come back after the break, we're gonna get more into it. Thanks for tuning in for Talk Kings, Real Kings talking about real things. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Talk Kings, where real kings talk about real things, man. We got a heated discussion, very dear to all of our hearts because we are black men. We are guys who feel like we are pillars in our community and society, and we don't ever want to be perceived as a threat in a negative way. All right, you can look at me and feel like I'm a threat to take your position, or I'm a smart young, individual, but the issue becomes when the police officers or society or corporate America looks at us as a negative threat, meaning they close doors because we're black, or they pull us over because we're black, or I heard, hey man, you stay in a nice house when I used to stay in another place and got a whole lot of cars in front of your yard. That guy must be a drug dealer. Automatically we're perceived as a negative entity, because we're black. Because we're black, we don't supposed to be able to drive the things that we drive. We don't supposed to be to go to places that we can go, vacation where we go. We're not able to say the things that we're supposed to say, and that's a problem, right? We should never, like I always say, like I own a company. I don't want to be, I tell Larry, I tell people all the time, don't label my company as a black-owned company. Just label me as a company. I get it. I know it's a lot of perks and all that crazy stuff for being black owned and labeled black owned. We are a black owned company, but I want to be a company because when you label it that, you're judging it on a different standard, right? And that ain't my standard. My standard is the overall standard of the United States. But ultimately, guys, I think y'all got some great common denominator stories. And we're going to finish it off just getting back to, maybe DJ, I know you look like you got some great information you want to talk about.
I mean, with me kind of going back to when you become a threat, man, you're talking about a guy I'm 6'2", 200 plus, tattoos, locks. My dad has always called me, even when I went to college, hey man, everything okay? Hey, make sure you're polite with this. You make sure you say this thing. If the police pull you over, you need to say this because of my stature. Because automatically when you see me, you see threat. When it's crazy that I can actually hold a conversation better than anybody you ever talked to before. And that's a problem. That's the same thing that I let my son know, that automatically you're seen as a threat just because you are black. And that's a rough thing to swallow, but it's something that you need to know when it comes down to that. What do you do if you get pulled over? How to just show that, hey, black guys can be polite also. I open the door for everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's a stigma that when black guys walk around each other, they don't speak. I make it a point to speak to every guy I see. Just to show them, hey, there's no hatred here. I love you, man. You know what I'm saying? I hope you, the best for you. I hope you do everything that you dreamed of. That is something that we have to learn as black men, to start putting each other up on a pedestal. Start to encourage each other, because if everybody else looks at us as a threat, we can't look at each other as threats. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So, when people talk about the black on black crime, yes, that is going on. That is a definite thing that's going on. And we need to get better with that because I'm so sick of hearing about kids dying because of this, dying because of that. But we have to change our mindset and say, hey, yo, you know, I hear people say, hey, king, hey, queen and stuff, and they might be using it for flirting and stuff. But I mean, real talk, you have to look at it like that. Because if not, we weren't taught that way.
We weren't taught that.
We weren't taught that. You were taught that you were less than. You know what I'm saying? And what happened, and they didn't mean to do it, but ancestry has passed that on, that you were less than. And it's a crazy thing, but I've dealt with it so much. Britt, you would not even imagine, man. When you talked about you and your son driving, man, I've been pulled over. People tell me, you know, your car fit the description of a robbery that just happened. Now, mind you, I've always had personalized tags. I've always had something detailed on my car that separates my car from everybody. So I know my car wasn't, you know, fit the description or something, but that gave them the reason to look for something. So yeah, and stuff like that, it kind of puts a stigma in your mind of, dog, man, when you see the police, you almost go in like a frozen state because this has happened multiple times. See you inside of a store. You talked about how people kind of look at you when you go. They don't expect you to go on this vacation or to drive this type of car. I always make sure I get the best seat when I go somewhere. They're looking at a young black guy, locks, tattoos, and all that other stuff, and they saying, "Man, why you get to sit beside the fireplace?"
Okay.
I feel that way in first class. I gotta stay in first class. So, you know what I'm saying? I be laughing because, you know, I sit up in there, I do my hand like this. And I laugh with my wife. I say I got the praying hands. You know what I'm saying? I sit in first class like this. Sometimes I sit in first class like this.
Let's switch it a little bit for our younger viewers.
Okay.
As far as being a threat, let's switch the word to stereotype because it's the same thing. Same thing. Being a threat in the black culture is the same thing as stereotype. The police pull you over, you shouldn't be no 20-year-old driving a 2020 BMW in this area. You stereotype. So we're going to switch it, you know, for our younger viewers. Being stereotype, Larry from a different demographic area. Y'all two from Carolina, but it don't mean nothing. Being a different demographic area.
I was waiting. I was about to say you
No. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing.
That's the truth.
Because at the end of the day, we all black.
That's true, but
we are stereotyped.
And I want you to remember that. But I wanted to talk about this because I know his son. What he got? He got what kind of car your son got? Range Rover.
Mercedes truck.
So he got a Mercedes truck. Malik, my son, at college in Ohio, when he
Range
originally had my S550.
Okay.
And I know my wife asked him which one he liked driving the most, and he said the Range Rover because in the S550 he got pulled over more. And he was only pulled over because he was a black young kid in the S550 in Ohio, right? No other reason. You know what I'm saying? And why is that the case? Why can our sons and daughters not have the same things that everybody else have and drive through the same neighborhoods that everybody else has?
I'm not going to say we're never going to elevate, but as of right now, we think we're winning because things going into the black curve a little bit. But we elevating, but we not at elevation. You know what I'm saying? It's like being black and dealing with society is a major issue right now. We think we're winning because they are changing laws, they are doing this for us, but on the backside of it, it's not still helping us. You got these police officers who, still pull you over just to get a rank off you. You know what I'm saying? We leave here today. We in the area we in get pulled, and a police officer might just want to get a rank off us.
So is that something that's factual opinion? Something you know to be 100%? I mean, because
I would never say 100%.
so because I'm not gonna agree with that because it's not 100%. I mean, I can't.
Nothing never gonna be 100%.
But if you're saying that they pulling you over to get a rank, I can't. I've never heard that before, and I got a lot of friends as police officers. You know,
I know a lot of police officers.
I'm a criminology major. I've just never heard that. So I just want to make sure that when we speak on certain things, that we speak fact, and that's one that I just want to make
Basically,
sure
what
we just got to be careful.
No. Basically, what I'm saying, I think when you were pulled over for more than what you pulled over for.
Yeah. Now that could be the case. When you say they pull you over to get a rank.
Well, at the end of the day, everybody's right? Because but we're talking about a lot of police officers.
Yeah.
And a lot of, you know what I'm saying?
Demographic
There's
areas,
a
yeah.
lot of police officers in the world. You may know the good one, and it's a lot
But
of good ones.
I'm talking about they pull you to get a rank. You know, just when we start talking about stuff like that.
I don't even know police protocol on how they get promoted.
Right, so that's why I
Right.
say. That's why I'd rather
And so-
stay away from that because that's why I asked that a fact opinion of. Did you know that to be 100%?
Yeah, but we do know you are pulled over for being black.
Right.
You agree with that?
I do agree.
That's
with
what I
that.
Okay,
said,
so whether it's to get a rank or not, we are pulled over at times because we're black.
Let me
Right.
explain rank. I'm not saying to get a promotion or whatever. From my perception of being a police officer, the more pulls you get or the more tickets you get, you right. You that officer.
Again, I don't know that.
I haven't seen
I don't
officers
know
sit
if
on
you know
High
that.
Street.
I'm not gonna speak
I don't-
on that.
'cause
So
I have seen officers sit on
I-
High Street just to pull.
So I'm quite
what I'm
sure everybody has an evaluation. Like when I was in the Army, we had evaluations.
Yeah,
So
they got a
I'm
quota.
quite
Got a
sure
quota. That's
somewhere
quota.
there it talks about you save this much money for the city, blah blah blah. Right? I get all
They
of
mean
that.
that quota.
But at the end of the day, were we pulled over because we were a threat, because we were black, and when does that happen? And if it's when we born, that's a problem. And I'm not sure if we're gonna see the solution before we leave this earth. You know, I'm not sure. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I
But the
hope
fight
so.
got to continue. I mean,
Right.
you can't be scared of the fight.
Right.
And then we got to be willing to take the fight, hit it head on, the issues hit it head on. But we also got to be smart about how we do things and very tactful how we do things as well. And then, of course, too, we do got to take care of our own. So I'm about all phases of this thing.
It's a never ending narrative. Us as black men that we're deal with, and thank God that we've reached the ages that we have reached, that we have not become a statistic. What we'll say to the guys that are watching this is, stay professional, stay above the cloth. You know what I'm saying? And take care of our own. You know what I'm saying? Because when you sit around here talking about what somebody else is doing to our race, let's take care of our race first. And as long as we take care of our race first, I think we'll be okay. As far as becoming a threat, whether it's born or 40 years old, if we do the things right, then hopefully, your the end in mind will be something that you can live on this earth and be respected, right? And that's ultimately we're looking for, is to be respected by all, no matter if you're black, white, red, purple, or blue. And that's what we want. And so, guys, I appreciate the dialogue. As always, sitting here talking to y'all, man, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about individuality and being who we are. And as men, to sit here as four kings talking about real things, I couldn't have thought of anything else to talk about today but this topic. And I appreciate it. Everybody who's watching, we'll see y'all next time. Check us out on Sky 4, all major social media platforms. Real Kings talking about real things, and we out. We'll see y'all next time.
King talk, where men come from all walks of life. Situations about life, pitfalls, God, women, and downfalls, our lives, and everything that we go through. For kings with exclusive insight to our world. Now walking the talk, King.